Eddie here again. I've forgotten what I was going to say. I hope this goes to the Labour Party, as I am subscribed to the Labour Party and all my videos go to the Labour Party. Please, if anybody sees this who is a member of the Labour Party and has contacts, which I don't have, tell them to watch this video. And I have some theories. Now there's a scientist that looks like a schoolboy on TV, and everybody takes notice of him. And because he's so clever, he's like me, very clever. The only difference is he's got letters after his name to prove it. Me, because I was a serf and had to go to primary and secondary school, I never even sat the 11 plus, because my dad had to move from one job to the other. He was a cow hand. He worked on a farm, and the only way he could get a pay rise was by changing jobs, just like we're changing suppliers of gas and electricity today. Now, these people are stupid that force their men to do this, because what I do, when before I change, I go to the company I'm already with. I'm with PlusNet at the moment, on the high-speed broadband, and I told them about all these adverts that were on, but I knew these adverts were only going to last for 12 months, and because I'd been with them a few years, I'd actually changed twice already. I used to be with tiscali.co.uk, and then I changed to Sky Broadband, and Sky Broadband. When I changed to Sky Broadband, BT forgot to connect the local exchange, and I was without anything, any telephone or landline or anything for a month. Didn't get any compensation out of them. They just said, sorry, somebody forgot to do the switch. But anyway, I got that sorted out, and I'm looking at my bill. I had a deal with PlusNet for high-speed broadband, fibre optic, and by the way, I hate this spell check thing because they don't know how to spell fibre. I spell fibre F-I-B-R-E, and they wanted to be spent F-I-B-R-E-R. Anyway, to get on to the subject, if somebody wants to know what the cause of all this is, there's Cameron blaming Blair and well, what was the previous one called? I keep forgetting people's names. George Brown. Now George Brown, they run him down something awful, but within 6 months' time, this country would be absolutely grateful to George Brown. And do you know why? Because he kept us out of the euro. And the euro is going downhill fast. Because the rich don't like carrying the poor. Their Greece is in trouble. Now you probably know, or you don't know, but Greece was the birth of democracy. But it was a different kind of democracy to what it is today. There wasn't parties. Everybody was their own delegate. And they promised the people that they would do what they would do, and if they didn't do what they said they were going to do, which everybody does today. I used to vote for Colin Breed in this area where I am. He was a Liberal Democrat, and I only voted for him because Labour had absolutely no such chance in hell in winning this seat. Conservative, they've held it for years and years. And Colin Breed actually visited our mobile home park. All I get now is junk mail from them. I've just received the junk mail from our MP. I didn't even know her name at the time. And she's a Tory. That's because Colin Breed retired, and the new person that put up, I never even saw, don't even know her name. But when Colin Breed was MP for East Cornwall, I voted for him, and he got in. He was never beaten. He retired a sitting member. I have a suspicion the reason he retired was because of what the Liberal Democrats are doing today. I mean, I asked him one question. I said, will you support the Conservatives in a minor government, minority government? Will you have a coalition with them? No, it'll be Labour or nothing. And that was good enough for me. He never broke his word. I'm sure if he was still MP there now, there'd be even worse trouble between the Tories than the Lib Dems. Because the Lib Dems are much closer to Labour than they are to Conservatives. They're pretending to be middle of the road Conservatives. I only hope that UKIP, which are extreme right Conservative, split the party down the middle so much that they lose just about every seat. But it's not George Brown, it's not Gordon Blair, it's not even Cameron that's caused the problems we've got today. Unfortunately, we can no longer do anything about it because she's dead and gone. And I don't think you should cheer when somebody dies, but I did. Because she crucified me for a start. I'm on pension credit because of her. In 1980, I was paying as much as I was self-employed, and I was paying enough money into an insurance policy to triple the pension. The pension was £25 a week, and I was going to get nearly £100 a week. But thanks to this woman that's now gone and can't face the people, 17.5% inflation, and now £200 a week is worth nothing. So consequently, I have to get credit support. I get guaranteed pension credit. And that's a good thing for me in a way, because it means I don't pay for these. Not that I've gotten any of them. And I don't even pay for legal aid. And this government, since they've been in, and why Labour hasn't mentioned people like me, my pension credit has been reduced by £2 a year every year since this lot got in. I was on £24 and some pence a week. Now I've just received a letter saying it'll be £16.76 or something. I don't bother with the pence because they don't mean anything. Now Mr. Cameron went to Eton and, I don't know, Cambridge or Oxford or something, and he's got all sorts of degrees and whatnot. Me, I've got nothing. Apart from my finals at school. There was no CSEs, there was no in secondary schools. I was such a whiz at maths. I was very lucky. I had a maths teacher, and when the class was teaching a certain subject of math, I was 2 subjects ahead, and she'd give me the book and she said, well, they're working on long division and whatnot, I'll put you on quadratic equations and logarithms and trigonometry. Anyway, if you want to be cleverer than Cameron at maths, multiplication, I'll tell you how I do it. Now, when the teacher was writing stuff on the board, by the time she'd finished writing it, I had the answer. Because it just mental arithmetic, you see. But you wasn't supposed to do that. And when I put the papers in, they looked at the papers and all the answers were correct. And they thought I'd cheated, that I got the book and copied the answers out of the book. Well, they are, you see. they're untrusted sorts. But there, this is how you beat these so-called people at multiplication. And it's not just 11 times and 12 times. The thing to think of is 10 and 5. Right? Now 10 and 5 is 50% of 5. Right? So if you multiply by 15, let's take 12, a nice simple number. That's 20, 120 if you put a naught on the end. You can multiply by 10, all you do is put a naught on the end. 50% of 20 is 60. 120 is 60. Add together, 180. Now, it doesn't have to be 12, it can be 23. It can be 13 times 23. But you must remember to work on the 10 and the 5. If it's above, in between those two, I mean, the easiest ones are 11 and 9. This is the one Cameron couldn't get right. Was it 13 times 11? Easy way to do it. 10 times 13 is 130. You got one more 11. 130 plus 11 is 141. Sorry. Yeah. And times 9. 9 13s, right? 10 13s are 130. Less 1 9 gives you 129. Sorry, I'm getting old now, I'm 77. Anyways, 130 less 9 gives you 121, sorry. And you can do any number like that. Now, if it's 23, if you want to multiply by 23, you say, you add a naught and double it. So it would be 11 times 23 would be 11 times 10 is 110. 11, double it, that's 220. And you've got 3 more to add on. 3 11s is 33. 111 and 33 is 144. Okay. I'll say that at my age I'm not quite so quick at it, but that's the way to do it. And if you learn to do it like that, you'll beat anybody at multiplication. And it can even go up into 3 figures, but at 2 figures, any 2 figures multiplied together, and that's the way to do it. Always think from 10 and 5. For instance, if it's 4, and you get the 50% of 12, which is 60, but it's not, you've got to take 1 away from the 60. 12 away from 60, 48. And you add the 48, if you're multiplying by 20, 12 times, anyway, it's difficult for me to explain it, but that's the basic principle. Which you're nearest to. I mean, if you're using 15, you have 100% and 50% of any number, no matter how big it is. 580, right, times 15, right? So 580 with a naught on the end is 5,800, and half of 580 is 340. Oh, sorry, 240. No, I mean, my old brain don't work as well as what it is, but that's simply what you do. What you're actually doing, 50% is dividing by 2. And I think most kids can divide by 2, even if I can't. It's just that normally when I'm lying down without thinking about it, this just goes click, 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 and there's the answer. But if you use that principle, if it's 30, a number where the tens and the units, right, take 13 times 13, right? So you have 13 times 10 is 113, 130, 3 13s are 39, 39 plus 160 is 169. And that also tells you that that's 13 squared. So there, it also tells you that that is the square, 13 is the square root of 169. When you go to ask for things like, it's the same with cube root. When you've been asked things about square roots, the simplest way is to have a guess. Because all these answers, when they give you these sums, are exact. If you know what I mean, they don't come out, what's the square root of such a number, and it comes out to 13.8567 or something stupid like that. It always comes out as the whole number. Well, the sort of stuff that I was doing at school, that nobody else in the class did even before they left school, because this is in the 4th year, 4A. And train of thought's gone again. I have explained enough times I do not use notes, but I just thought maybe somebody be interested in this, and it's quite a good way of having a go at your friends. And I watch a lot of television, and I watch medical television, but I don't watch them like you. Last night I recorded a program called GPs under the something or other. GPs Undercover. And there's a girl comes in, the doctor, and I had her diagnosed in 3 seconds. She's suffering from stress, you idiot. And there's all sorts of fussing, man. They just engineer everything. It's like the computers today. Everything is over-engineered. There's too much. Did you know, I bet you didn't know this, because I worked on televisions and radios when they were valve, and you had to wait for them to warm up. Now I've got a 1970s television in my shed, and it's quite wet and damp out there. I tried it the other day. It's still working. But the only thing I can work it with is a skybox, because there's no analog television now. But you can get analog out of the old skyboxes. And that one comes on quicker than a modern digital TV. It takes longer from the boot up than it does for these to warm up. And the old idea when I was first started off on transistors, nobody wanted to know them. They hated them, engineers. And I was exactly the opposite. I said, that's the best thing that ever happened. I said, for one thing, there'll be less, well, actually, it wasn't a good thing, because they're less likely to go wrong. But unfortunately, most faults that we get, that I used to get, because I'm 77 now, so I've retired. I've retired in 2000. And I used to have a rental and repair business. And I used to go to Plymouth in the mornings. My mother, who's gone now, God help her, she did make it to 92, she ran the shop in the morning. I'm now going back to 1980, by the way. And I went to Plymouth for half a day. Now this is 1980. And I got a contract with this firm that were buying up rubbish sets from ex-rentals and whatnot that were scrapped by Radio Rentals and Rediffusion and all that. And they sold them for 50 to, I think, up to 100 quid. And I had a contract with them to do all their repairs, and they would pay me £2.50 a set. Now, they didn't like it when they found out I was knocking out 10 a day, because 10 a day in those days, that meant I was getting £25 a day. The sort of average wage at the time was about £30 a week. And I was only doing 5 days. But I was making £100 a week, only working mornings, and I used to take a TV for half and £50 cash for the other, and that's how I started my own business up. I used it, and I always made sure the TVs that I had were the best I could repair them. And I rented a shop out for £9 a week in a little village. It was a shop that had closed down, a little village called Gunnersay. I had a doctor come here the other day. She'd lived here 40 years. She never knew who I was. Never seen you before. I said, well, I've been here over 50 years. And I said, I was with Dr. Stewart for 40 years. And I never saw any other doctor. Because I could talk to him, he would listen to me, and sometimes my suggestions, he would say, you could be right, boy, and he'd investigate it, and that's why he became the best doctor in the area. And the only trouble with that was that you had to wait for half an hour to see him, because so many people wanted to see him. And he was working so many hours, it's amazing he's still alive. But he retired three years ago, and since then, everything's gone wrong. Scientists today make everything complicated. For instance, I heard a program about warts and verrucas, which, by the way, the doctor that came to see me hadn't heard of. And I said to him, I said, that these wonderful scientists, I said, they've discovered that duct tape, you know what duct tape is, it's the stuff that they stick over the crooks put over people's mouth. And this scientist said, we're now going to analyse the glue in this to see what component of the glue is killing the verruca. Now, you might think that sounds very sensible, but it's not. You see, that's not the first thing you should think of. I worked it out because I tried it myself, not with just duct tape. I tried it with any kind of sticky tape, and in my opinion, they'll find out that the answer is the reason the verruca dies is either lack of oxygen or something like that, because it's excluded from the air. Most living thing, because a verruca is a living thing, and it actually pulls out like a carrot when it's dead. Oh, very tiny carrot. And the same thing happens to corns. Now, if you ever buy these corn plasters with all this fancy medication on it, all that, and everybody thinks it's this stuff that these wonderful companies are putting on that's killing the corn. It's not. It's the plaster isolating the corn from the atmosphere. I know, I've tried it myself. Can you see a wart on the finger there? There is one there, or was one there. I had a cyst on my chest. They wanted to go to hospital, me to go to hospital. They said they'll inject you with painkiller and they'll cut it off, and it'll be all this, that, and the other. I said, "Oh, don't worry about it." Do you know what I did? I got a piece of cardboard and cut it out, a little hole in it, the size of the cyst. He said it was a cyst, and sprayed it with liquid nitrogen. Now, because I'm an engineer in electronics, this liquid nitrogen is used on microchips and things like that to detect faults. Because when you freeze them cold, things change. On a previous one, I told that if something goes wrong, put it in the fridge or freezer overnight and take it out and let it warm up again and then try it. Because that sometimes cures a fault. Sometimes it's the reverse. Sometimes heat will cure it. Sometimes heat will make a fault occur. They identify them, but most of the problems I found with semiconductors, solid state and microchips, because it started off transistors, solid state, integrated circuits, and now microchips. And I've got a device here, it's hanging in my window with Eddie on it. You've probably seen it flashing LEDs on my Elvis videos. And that was built by me, designed and built from scratch to component value. No microchips, transistors, resistors and capacitors, and a variable resistor. The variable resistors, so you can change the speed that they're moving at. I made that 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I used to use it on my disco. It's nice to have your name, Eddie, written on the disco. You can actually see a video of me doing a disco, and you'll identify the date by the songs they're singing. Anyway, I'm going on a bit here, I hope you don't mind. But you really all should watch any of my videos from beginning to end, because I very often come up with something in the middle of it, and you don't watch it to the end, and you wind up missing it. I mean, I teach playing guitar. I showed somebody how to tune a guitar scientifically, and I think I got 150 odd views. Now there's some American on there with a posh fancy guitar and sound system and camera system. Me, I got no camera. All I do is sit in front of the there's quite a lot of my singing. It's just sitting in front of the webcam, you know, the built-in webcam. If you don't believe me, go to see Eddie Sings I Love You Because. I think one of my problems is I got so much on the website that people just don't find it. I've just been using my smart TV and something cropped up and I completely forgot I'd done it. I composed songs in the 60s, and I also had Skype video contact with a lady in the USA, Arkansas, and she had poems she'd written. She sent I said, "You send me the poems and I'll put music to them." Now, I put the video on from scratch when I first started, so you might, at the beginning it's not that great, because I'm trying certain notes and they don't fit, so I keep going till I find a pattern that does work. And then if you listen to it at the end, it's totally different. The tempo might change. I'm pretty sure people watch the beginning and think this is rubbish and turn it off. But I always think that is the best way to do it, because when you see somebody doing something from scratch, you realise how long it took them. Minutes. And you hear these stories about, the Beatles wrote this song on the back of a cigarette packet. it's probably true, because that's the way we used to work. If you had an idea, I mean, most of the stuff I composed in the 60s were instrumentals. And I can't remember the notes, you see. And the stuff that I sing on there, you'll find that sometimes I forget the words, because, I mean, it was 60 years ago. Anyway, that's about it. There's several things on this video, and you should have some fun with the math trick one. I'll try and think of some of the other things I used to do. But this is why the Chinese and that are so good. They use an abacus system. And an abacus system is very similar to digital. Because you know, a computer is so stupid, it can't count more than one. Not one. A semiconductor, like a transistor, is only got two positions, on or off. So you got to have a dozen of them to just get one byte of ons and offs. And it takes two transistors switching from one to the other. One's off, one's on, and they switch back and forth. And when one switches, the other one switches, and then the whole chain of them switches. It's a bit like electrons moving through a wire. I have a theory about the universe and everything in its space. I haven't heard anybody mention the theory, but the reason I think of it is that no matter how small you go, or how big you go, the same principle applies. For instance, the most simple molecule is hydrogen. It has a nucleus of one proton and one electron. The electron is negative, proton is positive. And it's almost a copy. The proton is like the world, and the electron's going round it like the moon goes round the world. Or the world goes round like the world goes round the sun. And my theory is that if you were to get into a spaceship and keep going in the same direction for billions and billions of years, at 10 times the speed of light or whatever, you would eventually come back the way you started. Here's another one. If you want to catch somebody out, tell them there's no such thing as a straight line. Now, are you all laughing? There is no such thing as a straight line. I'm now going to prove it. A straight line is a segment of a circle. It's a very small segment of a circle, but if you were to draw a line and go on for 36,000 miles, you go all around the world and come back to where you started. So therefore, it's a segment of the equator. But because it's so small, it appears to be straight, because the curvature is so tiny. You only notice it if you look at the horizon and you can see the curvature. So if you started drawing a line to the horizon, it would be an arc, not a straight line. I used to have fun at school with the teachers, because they tell you all these things, and why does it do this? The trouble was, they didn't know the answer. And, they come up with, always remember, I before E, except after C. Oh, so I hadn't better deceive my neighbour, miss. What do you mean, she said. I said, well, how did you spell neighbour? And how do you spell deceive? Oh, that put her folks out of joint, didn't it? Because neighbour is E before I, and deceive is E before I after C. They are, like I said, they're writing a problem on the board, and I've got the answer by the time they finish. Anyway, that's all, and there's several tricks I can tell you if you want to fool them. One of them is get somebody to stand in the doorway, put something on the floor about a foot out, get them to stand there, close the door, and have a bet with them whether they can pick it up. Close the door, and then watch them try to pick it up. Pull that on their face. That's simply because they don't think logically. That's why this scientist who thought duct tape had killed a verruca didn't think of the obvious, but said, oh, he had to find out what chemical was doing it. Now, my opinion is, if they found 90% of diseases and malfunctions, because it's either a disease or a bodily malfunction when there's something wrong with you, apart from an accident. There's only three things that can happen: accident, bodily malfunction, or an infection. Now, I have a theory: if they come up with two pills, one pill that will reduce the immune system, and one pill that will increase it, and I think those pills would cure 90% of all illnesses. Because, I had an argument with the doctor the other day. I said there's only one kind of cancer. Oh, you must be joking. It's cancer of the bowel, cancer of the liver, cancer of the colon, cancer of the pancreas, cancer of the breast. I said, well, if that's the case, how is it when somebody gets cancer of the liver, you next say it's spread to the kidneys, it's spread to the stomach, and so on and so forth? Isn't that the same cancer, or they got three different cancers? Didn't even think about that at the time, see? I said there's one cancer, and the reason for cancer is poor immune system. Because these cells should never be allowed to grow. They have a job to do, and they should be destroyed by the immune system. My immune system has destroyed them all, so I don't need to worry. If I hadn't, I'd be in real trouble. Because as a merchant seaman, I spent more time in the sun than most people spend a lifetime in this country. And unfortunately, I suffer from bodily malfunctions, which is an immune system that's too strong. I know that sounds daft, but I get a cut or something and it heals quick. I have a cleaner come here. I had diarrhea, she had diarrhea. She claimed I gave it her and I claimed she gave it to me because I had never go anywhere. But mine was cleared the next day. I was back to normal. In fact, I didn't go for 2 days because everything had come out of that first lot. She still hasn't been back, and it's nearly 3 weeks now. And she's supposed to be a care home nurse. I had a sniffle the other day, a sneezing, and it's gone now. I was a little bit runny nose yesterday, but it's pretty good now. That's because I had a visit from the doctor a couple of days before. And I've just been on the phone on the doctor. Oh no. I said I wanted to speak to her. He said, oh, I'm sorry, she's ill. That's why I don't like going to surgeries. I think surgeries spreads more disease than anything. But I had my ears fringed by the doctors. Not the doctors, the nurse. And she said to me, I have to warn you there is a possibility of an infection if you have your ears syringed. So I then said, well, how many of your previous patients I've had an infection. And she said, oh, can't really tell you, it's so many. So I said, okay, go ahead with it. Now, it's only an infection in one ear, right? But she syringed both ears. And I'm wondering whether the water that she used was sterile, or the unit she was using to what's it had been used on somebody else. But lo and behold, I got an infection. And my doctor gave me a course of penicillin, 1 week course, not penicillin, acomycin or something, one of these modern later ones, and it was gone in a couple of days. And they always tell you to complete the course. Now let me tell you about something about antibiotics. They're now saying they're becoming inactive. They're not able to destroy the bacteria anymore. And they're coming out with all these new kind of drugs, charging the National Health Service the earth for them, when it's got nothing to do with the drug, because the drug doesn't cure any illness. Penicillin never, in the past, ever cured anything. And none of these fancy antibiotics are coming out to now, with specialist ones for different diseases. None of them actually cure anything. No doctor's ever cured anybody. Your own immune system does it. The doctor merely gives you medication to help your immune system. And what antibiotics do is assist your immune system, to destroy whatever it is. That's why I'm hoping that this new drug that they say they've come out with that will cure AIDS, they're not sure why yet, but all they do know that it improves a person's immune system. And if that's the case, all they've got to do is then discover another drug that will do the reverse. And the first thing I have to do is everybody has to be tested to find out whether their immune system is strong or weak. Now, my immune system at the age of 77 is stronger than somebody at the age of 40. Because of the way I was brought up. Because my theory is this here stuff in smoking is causing more trouble than what it's worth. And now you've got people overweight, and there's more people dying from overweight than there were from smoking. And smoking, it dampens your appetite. It's one of the things of it. There's nothing wrong with smoking if you don't smoke too much. The real problem is the fact that it's addictive. But then most things in life are addictive. Food is addictive. There is absolutely nothing that's bad for you or good for you. It's only the amount. I made the mistake, when they went on all about these vegetables, of taking too much of the vegetables, because I was already having a good diet. And so I went on a bit of fast food, some pasties and steak pies and fish and chips for a while. And it seems to have made a change. But at the moment I take this drug called prednisolone. And it's something that has got steroids in it, and they talk about steroids today as if they're but they're not the same kind of steroids they're talking about. They're steroids that they wouldn't be able to detect anyway if they tested me, because they are natural steroids that the body makes anyway. So what they really want to do is find a drug that gets the body to produce its own steroids. They tell me I'm diabetic. I don't believe it, because they give me I stopped taking all the sugar, and what happened then? My body converted every other food into sugar. So I look at that and say, well, if my body's going to go to that trouble, it means my body wants that sugar. Not what a bloody doctor tells me that it's too much. Because they don't really know what is good and what is bad, any more than they know what overweight is. Because weight depends on your age anyway. But you've got kids. I've seen women that are 50% heavier than me. They're only 5 foot, and I'm over 6 foot. When I was in my prime and most of my life before, I was 11.5 stone in the old mummy. I'm now about 14. The doctor says this and they say, oh, you got a big stomach. But it's not. It's gas. And do you know what caused that? Canderel. Avoid it like the plague. It's a sweetener. Now, I've been using Splenda. I'm not supposed to advertise, but I think you should know. It might not apply to everybody, but this Canderel caused these scours. There's something in it that my body doesn't want and doesn't like. And apparently Splendor does. Whatever is in that, it's not in there. And I looked at it to see if I could find out which one. Because you'd tend to think they were basically the same, wouldn't you? There's another trick that these big expensive companies like Heinz and that are doing. You know, they've now come out with these colour coding. If you have a look at these big posh branded stuff, they sugar content, they put it just below before it goes red. So that when you look at the shelf and see 2 tins, and you see 1 tin, they both all got the same colours, and you think, oh, well, they must have the same what's it in. Don't you believe it? You look at it, and you put your glasses on and read what it says in percentage. And the percentage of sugar in Heinz is twice the percentage in another one. And if you go to the ones that I use, which are simple value foods, and I don't know if you've seen this program on the BBC, but I suspect it was got from one of my videos, because I gave the BBC permission to use anything I put up. And this eat well for less. Now, unfortunately, me, disabled, poor back, all these simple value foods, which are better for you, I've just had to get cathedral cheese instead of this everyday cheese. And they cut it the wrong size. Who wants slices of cheese 1 inch wide? Let's have a block like that, once a week. Because I can't take any other dairy product. And I take the cheese because of the calcium. Because arthritis is the bones being destroyed by the immune system. Now, the other day I had a fall, injured this shoulder. The doctor came out and he wanted a physio to come out. I said, no, my immune system will cure that. Now, the strange thing was, it's almost finished. I couldn't do that. I couldn't get my hand. I could only lift my elbows, so I couldn't put stuff in the microwave with my right hand. I couldn't take stuff out the oven. I kept dropping it. I could take it out, but I couldn't lift it up and put it on the top. I had to do everything left-handed. And he wanted to send the physio out. And the physio had already been out to see me about a previous fall I had. Now, all these falls have been caused by this ear syringing, causing an inner ear infection. I say an inner ear infection, but upsetting the balance. But what I think it really is, it's upsetting my immune system. And it's my immune system that's causing me to lose the balance, because it's trying to get rid of it. But to get back to antibiotics They don't need to change antibiotics at all. The reason antibiotics is not working is not because the viruses and that are, not the viruses, the bacterium are mutating and becoming immune. It's the fact that the bloody immune system's too weak to take over. Antibiotics cure nothing. They just assist your immune system to do it. And if you've got a strong immune system, it can deal with it easily. And antibiotics works wonders for me. From the very first jab of penicillin I ever had. And also, all these injections that you get as a child, if they can find a way of getting the immune system to identify everything that's around, it will protect you against it. This is where I'm coming very controversial. Smoking, drinking, taking drugs when pregnant. Now, the first 3 to 4 months, because you can't be certain of the exact date, so they say 3 months, I say 3 to 4 months. You should take any drug. And then when I say drug, I mean caffeine, and that includes tea and coffee, and cola, and nicotine, and alcohol, and all the other rubbishy drugs, even aspirin and paracetamol. You should take no drugs whatsoever. You unfortunately have to suffer the pain. And the best thing to do for the pain is a hot water bottle with a cover on it. Not a bare hot water bottle, you burn yourself like I did. It didn't bother me. I burned myself, I scalded myself. Anything like that makes my stuff get better because my immune system's got something to do. It's like a young child. If it's got nothing to do, it bloody well gets up to trouble. It's bored and not. Because I've built up such a strong immune system, it protects me against absolutely anything. Today, a house should not be sterile. All these antibacterial products that they're advertising today are going to kill your children. You may think that's stupid, but they're not. They're going to kill them because the more disinfecting and clean your house is, the less immune system they'll have when they're older. From the age up to 17, I think a woman should be able to smoke a couple of cigarettes a day after 4 months, have a drink after, not a lot, but build it up, because the immune system will adapt. I mean, that's the whole evolution system. Animals, everything, they adapt to the environment. And otherwise we wouldn't be here, because the environment's nothing like it was a million years ago, or even 10,000 years ago. Think of all the nuclear explosions. It's bound to change the atmosphere. I mean, I was even involved with the atomic testing at Christmas Island in the Merchant Navy. That may have had something to do with it, I don't know. I mean, there's the old joke about Spider-Man being bit by a radioactive spider. You don't know. It's amazing how often science fiction becomes science fact. I watch the reruns of the original Star Trek, and they've all been digitally remastered, and they're actually better quality pictures than the modern stuff. Because when they remaster them and digitalize them, they put everything that's out of focus in focus. Because the old cameras in those days, the close-up, if the close-up were in focus, the background's out of focus, and vice versa. And I've noticed this with my videos, you see, because I got videos filmed in the 50s. I was at the Suez Crisis, on a tanker at the Suez Crisis. I went through the Suez Canal on the first convoy. And I had a Kodak. It was all shot on Kodachrome film. And it cost a week's pay just for a 10-minute film. So if you watch all my films, you can really tell how much I spent on it. And that doesn't include the cost of the camera. Camera costs 3 months' pay. Anyway, so that, if any scientist, there's a scientist I see on television, he was on QI, I think, and he looks like he's still at school, and when he comes out with it, he absolutely baffles them. And I'd love to be able to contact him and talk to him, because if somebody come to me with some of these ideas, and I had a lot of money and I had a lot of pull and can do things, even if I didn't believe them, I'd have them checked out. Because if what I say is true, think of the lives that'll be saved. Cancer won't exist. The only way I've been telling to people to get cures, protect themselves from cancer, is vitamin C and fruit and veg. But if they've now got something that can actually boost it enough to be able to kill AIDS, because AIDS is simply a virus that the immune systems become too weak to destroy. There's battles with germs and bacteria and with your immune system all the time through life. But if everything is so clean and spotless, washing your hands on everything, stopping the children from eating someone that's dropped on the floor. When I was a 5 or 6 year old, I was told that I had an ice cream cone, and the ice cream bit dropped off the end of the cone, and I bent down. This is on the road. Bent down, put it back on. Now there was germs on there. There might not have been, but there might have been. But there'd be so few, they'd lose the battle. You only get ill. Oh, incidentally, when you run a temperature and that's your immune system attacking a virus. And when you get a headache, it's the same thing. When I fell and hurt my shoulder, it hurt like anything, like bilio. It doesn't hurt now. It's still a little bit. But now you see, I'm at the stage now where I can exercise it. And if you go on my website, you'll see Eddie's lazy exercises. And they are done lying on a bed. And if you've got a hard mattress, the better it is. But if you watch that video and follow it, you will find that you'll get to sleep better. And I smoke, but I smoke less when I've exercised. I'm sitting on here now at the moment. I'm so involved in what I'm doing, I haven't thought of a cigarette. Cigarettes are not dangerous unless they become addicted, and that applies to all drugs. And it's not just drugs, by the way. It's something you may not know. Have you noticed all the adverts on television today? Every program has a quiz on it. Phone in, we're giving away 10,000, we're giving away 60,000. They're not giving away 60,000, they take in 100,000 off you and giving somebody else 60,000 right back. And do you know why they call it a competition? It's not taxable. I just saw one today. It was so ridiculous that a 4-year-old schoolboy would know the answer. I used to, I don't know if you know, ever watch Eggheads. you know how I forget things. When I see the 3 or 4 answers come up on any, I've won £1 million on. There was somebody on Millionaire when I was watching, and they got up to the 500,000 and stopped when they saw the £1 million question, and I banged it. The £1 million question. I got on the web, you can get a thing called Texas Hold'em. Well, I've played that, I suppose, 30 or 40 times, and only ever lost once. And when I won what, I don't know what they called it, all in, took the lot. And it comes up on the screen, crackpot player, or first class, or something like that pops up on the screen, depending on how much I'd won. And you know these firms now with the roulette and the fruit machines that they're doing on TV in the evenings, deposit £10 and we'll give you £100. Take it from me, there's only one way to beat that con, and I'll tell you how in the next video. But it is a con. It is no different to a drug dealer giving a woman her heroin and whatnot free, the first 3 or 4 doses until she's hooked, and then screwing her for everything they can, getting to prostitute themselves. Because once they're addicted to things like ketamine, they'll do anything to get it. But all these things are good for you. They're only bad if used too much. If you drink enough water, it'll kill you. If you take too much salt, it'll kill you. If you don't take enough salt, it'll make you ill. That's why when it's a hot summer and you're sweating or perspiring more, you should take more salt. And by the way, all these antiperspirants and that you do, and unless they're terribly inconvenient, they're interrupting your body from doing its job. Because sweating is your immune system's way of cooling your body down. And I think the only way I'm going to get people to watch this video is see if I can, I don't know if I can, whether you can online, split it up into several different what's-its. I don't know how long I've been on. Tells you the time here somewhere. Over an hour. Oh, 1:45 it is. Anyway, I put up some about movies today, and I've got movies here that were recorded off Sky TV that I haven't watched yet. I recorded them with a DVD recorder. The DVD recorder doesn't work anymore, but I can play them. I have a projector and TV screen. You probably see on some of my other videos where I've shown it. I've got it on at the moment, but you can't see it because the camera, the computer's there, you see, and the screen is over there. But if you watch that, it tells you how that you can watch. If you want Sky Sports and Sky Movies, alternate them. 1 month Sky Sports, 1 month Sky Movies. Always put the accent on the sports, not the movies. And during the period that you're paying for movies, right? Record every movie that you might want to watch that you could, and you can get 3 or 4 movies on one DVD. And all you do is switch to sports. you have to do it monthly. You have to say, I actually said to me once, oh, I can do it right away for you if you like. It's at the end of the month or something. So remember, if you can switch from Sky Movies to Sky Sports and then back again. And then when you might want to watch sports for 6 months or something on. And then you can go back for a month to the movies, and you'll still have some of the ones that you recorded, and some new ones. So you then record all the new ones, and when you've got all the films you want recorded, you go back to Sky Sports again. I went when they had all the test matches and that. I like cricket and tennis, and I stayed with Sky Sports for 6 months. And then switch back to movies when it all finished, like the World Cup and all that. And lo and behold, there's still half of the videos I got here was still on there. You could actually go for a year, switch from movies, go on to movies, switch to sports, and all the movies are still there after 12 months. If you record them on your own, on the Sky box, the Sky Plus box, when you change to watch sports, you can't watch your recorded ones on them. That's why I use the DVD. But when you change back to Sky Movies, they then allow you to view the ones that you got on your hard drive. So I better pack up and go, get some sleep. My cleaner's coming tomorrow if she's still not ill. And one of the things I wanted to do is film me showing you how to cook, because quite frankly I can do just as good as any of the cooks on television. If you go to get my cooking what's it, you'll see me working, but unfortunately it's very difficult to cook and use a camera at the same time, even for a woman. Because you can't see my face, I focus on my hands and see what I can do. And you have a look at the sort of roast dinner that I do, and I do apple crumbles. It was Pancake Day Tuesday. I made 3 times as much as I should have for pancakes. I made 2 pancakes, and I've now got 6 or 7 frozen Yorkshire puddings in the freezer. And the way to do that is to put them in, if you get these foil trays that pies and that come in, metal foil, you'll see on my videos, line them with olive spread, and then pour your batter that you had left over from pancakes, half fill them, stick them in the freezer. When they're frozen, put them in the oven when the oven is fully hot, and it'll thaw, melt, cook and rise just like a Yorkshire pudding. You can defrost them first if you want, but it'll work without that. But you must get your oven really hot before you put them in, otherwise they tend to stick to the bottom. Anyway, I don't think it's going to go up as one video. I expect they've turned it off ages ago. I don't know. Let's have a look and see if it is still recording. No, it's recorded at all.